Saludos amigos, Kash here, President and CEO of realestateandlosterrenas.com. And guys, it's just been so incredibly busy here, as you can attest to.
I can tell.
It has just been insane, and it's thanks to you guys. You guys are choosing to love where you live, and you're choosing to work with myself and make that shift and get down here from North America and start to enjoy a life that you've dreamed of and that I've dreamed of, and now I'm living it. Myself and Vladimir are getting ready here to launch our docuseries. We're getting into part 2. Part 1 was our introduction of who he is, who I am, and now guys, what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be ramping up, we're gonna be picking up some steam, and we are going to be bringing you the next 9 parts of this docuseries, okay? Vladimir and myself just kind of broke it all down. We went back and forth. A lot of planning went into this to decide exactly what we want to present you guys with. So when you make that decision to come down here, it's going to be laid out just like a textbook.
In a few weeks since we uploaded the first video, but like Kash said, you guys have maintained us pretty busy.
It's your fault.
It's your fault in the end. And also, there has been some planning about what we're going to speak about in the next few videos.
Correct.
Because we want to get you guys the best possible content and give you the most accurate info possible.
Exactly.
For those who didn't watch the first video, in case there is someone, because it has a lot of views.
Yeah, it does. It does. Yes, for sure.
What we did in the previous video was launch and announce that we were going to be working in a 10-part docu-series just to explain you guys all the details about the legal process to purchase a property here in the Dominican Republic, because as you know, there's a lot of things that you might be thinking about and a lot of questions you may have, and our purpose with this docu-series is to answer most or all of those questions. So if someone of you didn't watch that video, look for it here, right here in the channel of Kash. That's the first part. This is the second part, and we're ready to go.
Okay guys, so really quick, just in case, like Vlad said, you didn't see the first video, Vladimir Alonso is senior counsel at Guzman ARIZA, one of the country's, if not the country's top law firm. The most attorneys, 8 different offices, 9th one coming up soon, all across the Dominican Republic. So tons of experience. We've done numerous transactions together, and he has done countless transactions for people like you here in Las Terrenas. So what I'm going to do here really quick before we really start to drill into Vladimir, and he's going to answer some questions. Today's topic is going to be promise of sale and the reservation phase, okay? That is going to be the first step that I'm going to take you to. Amazing project I have here, Bonita Hills, Clementine, project that's almost 50% sold out. We are in the reservation phase. The promise of sale comes next. That's where I engage my man Vladimir, okay? So what I want to do is I'm going to give you a quick rundown of what we're going to be talking about. I'm going to pop it up on the screen, so if you want to take notes, I encourage you. Today's going to be promise of sale. We're going to probably take 8 to 12 minutes on this. I like to talk a lot, so it'll probably be like 15 or 20. No big deal. Part 3. Okay, part 3 is going to be performing the due diligences. We're going to touch on the legal, the tax implications, title searches,
taxes,
verifying the companies. If you're buying an LLC or shares of an LLC, we're going to verify that. We're going to dive deep into that. Part 4 is going to be how to buy without stepping foot into the country. Yes, that is possible. Numerous clients of mine have done it, and Vladimir will walk you through that entire process.
There's many of you watching this video that I haven't had the pleasure to meet in person yet. Everything has been virtually, and we're going to explain in one of these videos, like Kash said, how we can do that.
It's a seamless process, and it works very well. So we're going to cover all that for you. Okay, that's part 4. Part 5, we're going to cover the pre and post closing procedures. Okay, we're going to talk about how you get prepared before the closing and how you get prepared during the closing. So he'll cover all that. Part 6, he's going to talk about the actual closing. Okay, what to expect at closing day.
And the post-closing procedures, such as paying the transfer taxes, recording the deed of sale to get the property certificate of title at the name of
all
the buyer,
documents that you're going to be getting on closing day, and what you need to bring with you.
Or the tax exemption certificate, assuming that the buyer is purchasing in a property that has comfort-tour, like many of you are doing.
Like most of my clients are doing right now. Okay, so that's part 6. Part 7, we're going to be touching on should you buy in your personal name, or an LLC, or are you attempting to buy in a trust that you have in a foreign country? He's going to hit on the positives and negatives of all based on the individual situation of the property you're buying.
Indeed,
right?
Yep. And it might be an advantage or not depending on your specific circumstances. We're not gonna go deep in that now. Have to wait till that video. But
Correct.
yeah, it might be good or not depending on every specific case. But we're gonna go over the details of how you should buy either at your personal name with an LLC, if it makes sense or it has any kind of tax advantage for you to buy with an LLC or a trust that you guys already have in your country. And yeah, that's going to be
part 7.
Video. Yeah,
that'll be part 7. That's going to be a really important one. I did a few videos myself, just kind of regurgitating what you've explained to me, to you guys, and explaining it North American style. So part 7, that's what that's going to cover. Part 8, we're going to be diving into the ever famous Confiture 158,
which
section
you have
158-01.
spoke a lot about here in your channel. I've seen it in numerous videos.
I must admit something. There's still a lot of confusion surrounding Confiture. And this is going to be a really, really important video because there's some people are saying this, some people are saying that, and we're going to dive in and we're going to do the research on it and we're going to give the accurate information.
Yep, of course.
Okay, so that's going to be, again, every one of these parts is going to be really important, but certain sections are really, really important. Okay, that's part 8. Part 9, we're going to be looking at the costs associated with you as a buyer or a seller. What you can expect as far as out-of-pocket expenses, legal fees, accounting fees, taxes, when you got to file, all those things related to owning a property.
Indeed. And the last part, it's a surprise.
Yes. The last part is going to be really, really cool. That is going to be part 10, the grand finale. And we're going to be putting out that date in advance. And I'm going to, actually, you know what? I'm going to highly encourage my subscribers, if you have not visited me in Las Terrenas yet, or if you live in Las Terrenas, this is going to be an event that you're not going to want to miss. And you might want to hop on a plane and come down here for this one. And I mean that. This could be cool.
Stay tuned. You're going to figure it out. What is it going to be about?
Yeah, it's going to be cool, and it's going to be every bit of being live, and it's going to be something awesome. Okay, so stay tuned for that. That'll be part 10, and that might be our chance to meet in person if we haven't already met. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, guys. So that was a quick thing. I just want to give you a quick rundown of all the different parts, and now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be diving into part 2 here, and we're going to be talking about the most critical step when you first decide. Once I find you the property that you will love to live in, then we go to work with Vladimir and Guzman ARIZA. We start to work on the reservation stage. So Vladimir, if you can touch on the reservation and how the reservation phase is different from the promise of sale phase and what they should expect in the promise of sale phase.
Exactly. So let's start with the simplest part, which is the reservation. And what makes it different than a promise of sale? What is a reservation and what is a promise of sale? Well, sometimes there might be some projects that are in a very early stage. Instead, in terms of promotion, perhaps
Clementine, for example. Bonady Hills Clementine Phase 2.
Exactly. So there's a lot of things going on yet at that point. The developers getting the permit and everything, but since the market is really hot lately, and there are a lot of opportunities that you guys don't want to miss on, then you can proceed to make a reservation on that project. Because since it's in a very early stage, the conditions to make the promise of sale, which is a much more elaborated contract,
of course,
are not there yet. But if you don't want to miss on the opportunity, what you can do then? What most of the developers do is that they just simply take a $5,000 reservation.
I've seen 5, 10, 15.
Well, it will depend.
Ranges. I've seen 2,000 as well.
Yes,
it really kind of depends on the
developer. And it can go up to 20,000. It will depend on the purchase price, what you're going to buy, and also on the developer.
Correct.
But in this stage, usually all they know is what they are going to develop. They have all the rendering and all the things done. Still a long way to go in terms of permits and before they break ground to start.
Correct.
So at that point, the best possible thing for you to do is just to secure your unit there if you really like it, with a reservation that in average is $5,000.
Yes.
Which is totally refundable.
Yes, very often, if you don't mind me adding, very often I've seen both elements. Typically, it is a fully refundable deposit, and that's usually where I'd like you guys to be in that reservation phase. There should be a period of time. Now, what I've seen is a variance in how long. Some will say 7 days, some will say 30 days, for example.
But in those cases, what happens is if someone asks for a reservation, 5, 10,000, whatever, and then they give you a deadline, it's because they are in a stage that is advanced enough to know when they're going to start building and when the promise of sale should be signed. In this particular case, then you made a reservation, they put a deadline, and sometime during that deadline, you sign the promise of sale. Correct. But there are other ones that you made the reservation and they are totally refundable and don't have a deadline because the projects are in a very, very early stage that not even the developer knows when they are going to break ground. And believe it or not, the market is so hot right now that there are many projects that are in that stage that they don't even know where they're going to start building. They have an expectation, so perhaps
they have a pretty good idea of like roughly when, but not a specific date.
And there are many of them that in that condition are over 50% sold, and some of them even sold out. That is how good the real estate market has been in Las Terrenas lately. So this is very simple. At that point, sometimes the participation of a lawyer is required.
Are you needed yet in the reservation phase?
I would suggest that you do it.
Okay.
I would suggest that you do it. But sometimes it is not because, for example, there are some developers that on your own you have a fantastic relationship with, and you have the expertise and the experience to guide the clients to make the reservation payment to the developer, and then formalize their professional relationship with us when they are ready to sign the promise of sale.
Correct,
because but at that point, all they have is just that, a reservation.
Which is fully refundable.
Which is fully refundable in most of the cases. But it's up to you guys. Eventually, you're going to have to hire an attorney to transfer the property certificate of title to draft the promise of sale. You're going to have to do that anyway. Yes. So since you still have to do it, then the best thing for you to do is that you hire an attorney from the very beginning, because then you have someone that will help you along with KASH.
Yes, of course,
to guide you through the process and answer all the questions that you may have. But sometimes it might not be necessary.
And what I'll do, guys, is depending on the project, we have so many different projects. We're the leaders in pre-construction, and we know when I need to engage Vladimir for the legal representation at the reservation phase, or we can wait a little bit, how long we wait, all that stuff. I'll guide you accordingly. However, that being said, there's never a flaw in engaging your attorney right away. Okay, you can do it right away, but definitely without a shadow of a doubt, before the promise of sale, you'd get him engaged, and I'll guide you in that entire process. So that's the reservation phase, okay? Hopefully you guys get a pretty good idea. If you have any additional questions, throw them in the comments below, and we'll get back to you on that. Now we've reserved our unit, we've blocked the unit, we've blocked our penthouse at Bonita Hills and Clementine. You know which one you want. It's 2 months later, 3 months later, it's time for the promise of sale document.
Exactly.
Talk to me about that.
Which is a much more elaborated contract that is usually made by your attorney. The promise of sale is the backbone of all the real estate transactions.
In the DR, promise of sale, that's what dictates everything.
Yes. First, before I go any further, I'm going to explain when it's required. In most of the transactions that we do together, it's going to be required. But if, for example, you are going to purchase a property that is already built, you have the money, you know what you want, want to buy a land, the promise of sale might not be required.
Okay.
Because we just perform due diligence, which takes a few days, move the money and proceed directly to the closing. One contract, you pay, you get the...
So let me understand. There is not a promise of sale documents in some of the land transactions?
Yeah, but it will depend on...
what dictates?
Every case is different. Let's say that, for example, I sell you this house. You have the money, everything here is correct, and we are ready. I'm ready to give you the possession, you're ready to give me the money. To perform the due diligence, we're not gonna go deep that because that's another video, but we'll take just a few days. And when we do that process,
so roughly a few days for the due diligence.
We are ready to close.
Okay, got it.
So in that point, it wouldn't make sense to make a promise of sale because we have to draft it, review it, approve it. And if it's a property already built or a land that is there and the title is correct, everything is fine, then it doesn't make sense to make a promise of sale. But if you're gonna buy a land, if you're gonna buy an apartment, whether it's built or not, it might not be pre-construction and you could still need to sign a promise of sale because of any reason. You might want to buy this apartment, you might have the money to buy this apartment, but you might need 2-3 months to move it.
Or a scenario, I've had clients where, for example, we've agreed to move the kitchen from one side of the apartment to the other, and the seller was going to take care of it.
Or maybe
those fine details are in
they
there?
simply want to sell something they have in their country.
Got it.
And then use that money to buy here. Then they do a promise of sale in 1, 2, or 3 months.
Okay.
Then they move the money and we close the deal. In that case, we will be necessary because if you know what you're gonna buy, you have an agreed price, then you're just not gonna let it verbal for 2 or 3 months.
So you agreed price, agreed time frame, agreed parameters of the transaction, all that gets put into the promise of sale.
Exactly. So in that case, it will make sense. And then we will have to make 2 contracts. That promise of sale, which initially we include all the terms and conditions that of the agreement, whether it's pre-construction or not, and then the other agreement at the closing, which is much simpler. We're going to talk about that later.
Okay.
But the importance of the promise of sale is that not only it has all the terms and conditions of the agreement, but there are multiple what if questions that you guys may have.
If then as well, right?
Exactly. That are answered in that promise of sale. In that document, we will include, it is not a simple reservation. A reservation is usually just 1 page, $5,000, a receipt, and then we do the promise of sale when you start building. That's it. But in the promise of sale, we will include absolutely everything. Payment schedule, if it's pre-construction, when is it going to be paid, the dates, everything. And
like say, for example, say if there's a seller financing, there'll be an amortization schedule in there. All of that stuff could exist in there. Okay.
Exactly. But not only that, the most important thing is the payment schedule and a description, the most detailed possible of what you are going to buy.
Got it.
The obligations that both parties are, assuming to each other. But there's much more there because you guys, I know that most of your question will be, what if? What if the seller doesn't fulfill the obligation? What if the developer doesn't deliver in time?
Yes.
What if I die? What happens with the bond that I have paid already? So all of those details are included in that promise of sale because usually some of them are very long term, especially when they are pre-construction agreements. A lot of things could happen in that contract. We have to think in absolutely every single scenario. And this is why it is very, very important that you get yourself some nice legal representation while you are making any investments. It's highly recommended. And this is basically what the promise of sale is. It's much more complicated. I wouldn't say complicated, but it requires, that you watch very carefully what you're going to do because in the end, the closing, when the property is ready, is a 3-page agreement and it's the execution of the agreement when everything is made.
The closing document itself.
Exactly. But when you are in the stage of purchasing something, whether it's pre-construction or not, then that is a document that you have to include and think of absolutely any scenario that the clients might be with.
Question. So, the closing contract is dictated by the terms and conditions in the promise of sale.
Exactly.
Is that correct?
Exactly, because it is just the execution. Let's say you buy a house, 1,000 square meter lot, 400 meter of construction, 3 rooms, this and that. You do all that in the promise of sale. But the closing is much simpler because when the deadline for the closing arrives, property is built. You see that everything
the land
was
is
done.
there still, yeah.
everything was done successfully,
Yes.
like it was agreed in the promise of sale, then what do? Simply, you execute what you agree. A very simple standard document, seller get paid. Well, we're going to talk about that in another video. I don't want to overlap because like you say, you talk a lot,
No.
I talk a lot, but it is much simpler.
But the overall premise of it, the overall premise is promise of sale will dictate the term, everything, all the details that you agreed to. You would be telling Vladimir all those details. I would be explaining those details. Once those details are documented, he puts them in the promise of sale. The buyer and the seller sign and date, and you endorse it. Is that how it works?
Exactly. Per regulations, and in order that a notary can certify it, the document has to be in Spanish. If, for example, you work with us in Guzman ARIZA, our communication with you is going to be in your language. Our engagement letter, our emails, are the information. But some documents must be signed in Spanish according to our regulations in order that they can be certified by a notary. However, we do provide also the translation services.
Okay.
That in case some of you do not speak any Spanish or cannot translate it on your own, we send you a translated version of the
Legally,
promise of sale.
what's key is it's illegally translated, because some people,
Exactly.
you could go translate it on Google Translator, and Google Translate might completely change the definition of it.
Exactly.
So it's very specific, and I've had scenarios actually, and we both talked about this, where there is a fee associated with this, and there's a reason there's a fee associated with it, which I fully understand. You can't just go to Google and translate this document, because it might completely destroy and butcher the meaning of the contract.
Yes.
So somebody has to really go through and translate it verbatim and spend time on it to make sure the meaning is the actual meaning. It's not just a vocabulary definition thing, right?
Exactly. And that fee is not much. I think it's something between $18 to $20 per page. And usually the contract's not going to have more than 5 or 8 pages.
Either way,
depending on the agreement.
I think that's money well invested. But the key thing is that every agreement, now whether hopefully you're working with myself if you're coming down here, because I'm going to guide you properly. Hopefully you're working with Vladimir if you're coming down here on a legal representation level. Never get yourselves into a position where somebody writes up some English or German or French document and says, "Here, don't worry, sign it. We got a deal," because you don't have a deal. It has to be in Spanish.
Exactly.
Period.
Exactly. It has to be in Spanish, but in order that the clients can understand what they're going to sign, again, we can translate it for you. We send it to you my email. I personally like before, even if it takes a few days to do the process, I like to send it to the buyers in order that they review it and that they make the notes regarding all the questions that they may have. And then if they do, we schedule a call and I answer every single question they may have, because as I said,
good point.
The promise of sale is the backbone of every transaction, because that is the document that rules your agreement with the seller, that includes the deadline, and in which we mention what would happen, what would be the penalty, what would be the scenario on regards of any situation that would happen during the deal.
Intentionally, unintentionally,
exactly.
God's act,
exactly.
or malicious.
Even if, hopefully not, but even if an earthquake comes or happen, whatever, all of those scenarios needs to be discussed and added in the contract. Of course, and this is something...
Promise of sale.
That would...
in the promise of
exactly,
sale.
all that. Of course, and this is something that before we end the video, I do want to mention, and is that so far, even though we have made countless transactions together, but so far, none of the clients that we have worked with any developer has had any issues with the projects that they have purchased in. Not a single litigation, which is impressive. Not even one.
Correct.
Because if you from 100 deals, you have one disagreement and win one litigation, it's actually even kind of normal.
Even that would be an acceptable variance, but we don't even have that.
Not yet.
At the most, we've had some minor, is it this percentage or this percentage, like minor, insignificant.
And we always find a way to fix it.
And we find a way to fix it, correct.
I say that because I don't want to scare you guys with the promise of selling, how serious we take it and all the things that we do. Because KASH has already some solid relationship with most of the developers here in Las Terrenas. And when he promotes a project, when he tells you about someone, it's because he feels good about it.
Yes.
All of the agreements that we make are good faith.
reputable
developers.
Yes.
And usually that is why they end up pretty well. Not a single litigation so far, and we hope we maintain it like that. But still, even though all of the deals that we made are usually with some really good developers, shout out to them. They know who they are.
A big shout out, exactly.
And but still, even like that,
it still doesn't matter. You still got to do your job. Promise a sale, protect them. Worst case scenario, right?
Exactly.
And that's what he does.
Exactly.
Because you just never know. And that's what it boils down to. And that's what this. That's why we made this the first. Well, it's set part 2, but the first part of the theoretical portion of what we're going to talk about. Because if you don't do this, everything else falls apart.
Exactly.
You don't ever promise a sale. Forget about the closing, because now you're up in the dark about what did we agree to. Yes.
So it is really, in conclusion, it is really important, crucial that before you wire any important amount of money to absolutely anyone, you do have this document done, checked, understood, and signed, and reviewed by your attorney.
So just to make sure to clarify that, Vladimir is referring to the promise of sale. So before you get into that promise of sale, typically at that point there's a 20% due,
20,
or
25,
if it's a resale, and I've a lot of resales lately. If it's a resale, 100% is due, or 95%, something like that. The reservation phase is different, where it's a refundable, 5K, 2K, something along those lines. But even there, I am still cautious, and I'm only guiding you to do that when I have a track record with the developer and they have shown me. Very often I've invested in the project myself, so I know where we sit. For example, Bonita Hills, I've already invested. I know the developers firsthand and talk to them on a daily basis. So, but overall, I think that covers it, guys. I think it gives you a good understanding of step 1, reservation, step 2, promise of sale, and then we're going to be diving into the due diligences, which then come next and will be the next video.
Exactly.
So guys, as you know, my name is Kash. I'm president and CEO of realestateinlosterenas.com. This is Vladimir Alonso. He is senior counsel at Guzman ARIZA here in Las Terrenas, Dominican Republic. What I am doing here is I'm connecting buyers and investors like you guys with world-class developers, reputable developers here in Las Terrenas. Okay, I'm trying to bring you the best properties. We're doing a lot of luxury properties right now too, as I was telling you. And we're excited for you guys to even think about the idea of joining us here in Paradise. Even the fact that you're considering it, it puts you on the right path. It's going to open up your life, open up your world, and it'll change generations of people. Like, I know the fact I have come here has already changed my my close and personal friend, business partner back home. He has made a decision to come here. My brother is going to be buying a place here. So it's changing lives, and it changes the kids' lives, and everybody in that lifeline is going to be changed because of a decision like this. So I'm so proud to be incentivizing you guys and getting you guys excited and showing you what's possible. Right now we're sitting here. I don't know if you can see the
we're not gonna make it jealous, but we're here in weather is kind of hot here because we're right in front of the beach in beautiful Playa Bonita.
We're right here at Playa Bonita. We're about 20 feet away from the beach, and there's people in there, and we're missing that for you guys. So I hope you really enjoy this video because it's a Saturday. Vladimir's mom came to join us. She's having a seat inside, having a glass of water, and this information is so critical. We need to get it to you, and we hope you appreciate it, and we would love for you to share it.
And one final thing about what you said. That only the solo fact that they are considering to come here makes us happy. But break the ice. If one of you is just considering, do not think like you are wasting your time. Send us a WhatsApp, send us an email, contact us for a free consultation, totally free. I have agreed with Kash that anytime that one of you might have questions on regards of the transaction, even though
thank you for that,
even if you still are not able to buy at that point and
or you haven't decided on what
or
you
you
want
haven't
to buy.
decided, don't hesitate to contact us. I promise you, we're gonna have you a first free consultation, and it is gonna be absolutely free.
That's amazing. That's so generous of you guys. I really appreciate that. If you guys are down, that's a good point. I'm glad you brought it up. We're gonna go look at amazing properties. Whatever you're looking for, I'm gonna help you find that. But in the meantime, we can pop in. We can spend a quick 30 minutes with Vlad, and he will kind of, you go the hi hellos, get to know him, he'll get to know you, and you can kind of check that one off the box that you know Vlad, you've met him, you will have already met me, and you'll be on the path to making a good decision and finding the right property and being able to love where you live. You can finally say that you love where you live, and I think me and you can both say that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so guys, let us know about the questions you may have. Hope that you like this video. Hope that you find it informative. Hit the like video, helps us a lot to keep growing in this community that KASH has made here on YouTube. And I will see you in the next video, I guess. Yeah,
in the next video. We're going to try to stick to every week here, but you know, you guys keep us busy, but I think we're going to be popping one out every week. Maybe we'll try for every Friday. Yeah. Don't hold me to it, but we're going to try every week. We're going to get one out.
Of course, yeah.
Okay?
Well, let's make an effort to do it. You guys deserve it.
Yes. Thanks, guys. And enjoy the rest of your day. And remember, like, subscribe, and share. And we will see you here in beautiful Las Terrenas soon.